We live in a world where popular culture, celebrities, public speakers say that if you chase your dreams, you will achieve them. This message of chase your dreams and you will 100% get there is contextualised with this guarantee that you will get there. What it doesn't mention is failure. Failure being an absolute component of your path to success. What it doesn't mention is that conditions can sometimes apply. Conditions like, what if you've got a personal impediment? What if there's a policy standing in your way? Have a think for a minute about what you wanted to be when you were 4 years old. Maybe it was a firefighter, maybe a business person, maybe a doctor. Now think about when you were 17, 18, even 20 years old. Did those two passions align when you were those two ages? If so, it's likely that that's all you ever wanted to do. That's all you ever wanted to be. For me, there was only one thing I wanted to do my whole life, since I can be about this high, I think, and that was to fly for the Australian Defence Force. That was my only dream. All I wanted to do was sit in the cockpit of an F-18 and fly for my country. So I set about a path to achieve that goal. I bought a lot of books, magazines, read on the internet when I was really young. I ended up getting my pilot's license before I could drive a car. And my instructor, my flight instructor, I'll never forget what he said to me. He said, "Tim, if you want to achieve your goals, remember the 7 Ps. Prior preparation and planning prevents piss-poor performance." Fair enough. So I remembered that in my path, and I went. I did all the analysis, all of the study from the dynamic equations of speed, distance and time, right through to anti-G straining manoeuvres taught to me by fighter pilots in the Air Force. And then I got to being a naive 17-year-old. And I've walked up to the recruiting office in Brisbane and I've said, "Here's my application, Corporal." And the Corporal's looked me up and down and he's gone, "You've got glasses. Don't even bother." And again, as a naive 17-year-old, I thought, "Oh, that's gospel. I guess I can't do that." So I walked out of that office, I found a business degree to study, and I made a living that way. But a few years later, I recognised that wasn't me. I need to find a way to attack this. I need to find a way where I can achieve my goal, where I can achieve my one true dream. So I thought, well, what is stopping me? Now, these things on my face, they make me look incredibly intelligent, but they are not conducive to being in the cockpit of one of them. So I found this ophthalmologist, an eye specialist, and he was more passionate about aviation in a military environment than I was. I couldn't believe I met this guy. He was saying, "Tim, oh yeah, the F-18 and the F-111 does this, and I once took a ride on it and it nearly blew my socks off, and wow, he was a great guy." And I thought, "Oh, this is the person I need to support me." And he said, "You can get a surgical option. It's available to you. It's called ICL. It's basically where they shove this contact lens into your eye whilst you're wide awake, and presto, you can see." I'll remove that in case you've had a big lunch. And I thought, oh, great, I can get that. I can't get laser because my eyes are hyperopic, they're long-sighted, and unfortunately I'm just outside the sphere, and laser's currently approved. But I can get this ICL surgery, which is not currently approved. And he said, "Tim, if you make it through to the end, I'll endorse you. I'll sign off that waiver for you, and hopefully Defence will agree with me." I thought, brilliant, this is awesome, here we go. So I compiled all the research. I researched 16 different medical peer-reviewed journal articles on that ICL is better in the longer term in 8, 10-year and 11-year studies than laser is, in efficacy, in safety, and all of these key components. I became an honorary optometrist. I thought, oh, this is pretty cool. And so I took it to the recruiting office, and I went through all the processes, the U session, the GAM tests, the Wombat testing, pilot specialised testing, psych interviews, asking me some really funky questions I'm not allowed to speak about. And I get to a point where they say, "Tim, go see the ophthalmologist." And I thought, brilliant. So I walk into the office, and I said, "I'm here to see that doctor I saw the other week." And she goes, "Oh, Tim, he retired 2 weeks ago." I thought, oh, okay. Well, I've got to see a defence-approved one, so who else? "Oh, you can see such and such." "Oh, great. And my $1,000 went to 5 minutes of his time, unpassionate, not quite as passionate as the previous ophthalmologist. And I get to a point about 6 weeks later where I've got this letter in the mail and it says, "Dear Mr. Gibson, thank you so much for your application. You've been unsuccessful, blah, blah, blah. Good luck in your chosen civilian career." Okay, I've got to fight this some more. So then I went to the US Air Force, I went to the Royal Singapore Air Force, the US Army as well, and I got their leading ophthalmologist to endorse my application. They wrote to me and they wrote to the studies that I selected as part of the program for ICL, and they said, "Yeah, you're absolutely right. Here's our letter of endorsement." and they're currently using it in the US Army. So I went back with that, and I went to the Chief Medical Officer for the Defence Force, and they said no. So then I went to the Chief Recruiting, and they said no. And then I went to the Chief of the Air Force, the Chief of the Defence Force, the Minister for Defence, and they all said no. So what do? I was quite frustrated. I got that last letter, and I thought, well, there's got to be something else. I just sat down on the couch, and I don't watch a lot of television, but I was sitting on this couch going, what do I do? And this ad comes on the TV, and it says, do you want to go to space? And I said, yes, I do. What have I got to do? And it was a competition. There was a complete luck component in being selected as one of 4 Australians to go over to NASA to go on a shortened space program, selection program. And I thought, there's no way I'll get this. Anyway, 6 months later, I'm at NASA with 3 other Australians. And all of that was luck, would you believe? Nothing about my history. That was all luck. What I was about to embark on was all a skill-based assessment to see if I could actually put up with going into space. And it was run by none other than Buzz Aldrin, the second man on the moon. So we did some really cool stuff. We did theory examinations on physics, aeronautics, and dynamic theory. We went all the way through a military assault course. I love cement bags and mountains, and mud's quite enjoyable. It's good for the skin as well, I find out. And we did a few other things as well, but it got to the point where the really cool stuff happened. One of those things was a centrifuge, similar to this thing here. It's where you spin around and around and around and around, you keep spinning. And for a minute, the requirement is to hold 3.5 to 4 G-forces. That's gravitational loading. So if you weigh 100 kilos, you instantly weigh 400 at 4 Gs. And there's no way I would have passed this test if I didn't pick up on a failure that I had with the Air Force, the anti-G straining manoeuvre. That taught me to withstand G. And so I was able to pass that test. Another really cool thing is the vomit comet. If you think about a plane that can take you between here and Sydney, remove all of the seats, put a few pads in it, and as the plane raises up to near vertical, about 60 degrees nose high altitude, it then pushes over. And for those 30 seconds, you are weightless. Water takes a perfectly spherical droplet. Scrambled eggs look really different when they're coming from someone else coming close to you as well. Hence the name. But the one cool thing for me was something I thought unachievable. It was as close to my dream as I could possibly get. It was the flight test. They paired me up with none other than the ex-commander of the Top Gun Aggressor Squadron in the US Air Force. His call sign was Bluto. And he taught me everything from formation flying. He let me take the stick formation. You're 6 feet away from your own gravesite when you're in formation. We did snap high G turns, 0 G pushovers, inversions, everything you can imagine as part of that flight. And it was as if I was tasting my dream. I was almost there. This was what I was going to do. This was part of me. And I learned a lot from that one man. I find myself at the end of the program, 105 other people from around the world. This is from 2 million entrants all the way down through a skill-based assessment. And I've got all these no's in my history. So I've said to myself, there's no way I'm going to take this out. There's no way. Just be grateful for what I've done. And Buzz Aldrin comes up to me and says, Tim, yes, you can go to space. You've passed this course. You're going to space. Through all the no's I got previously, I'm in front of a guy that I actually respect, and he's told me, yes. I'm a blubbering mess at this stage. I'm asking him where he got his tie from. He said the gift shop. It's pretty cool. Now, I'm not standing in front of you saying I've achieved my dream. I haven't. I'm not where I want to be. My one true dream was to fly for the Australian Defence Force, and I'm not there. But it doesn't mean that I'm not ecstatic about where I am right now. You see, all of the failures that I got from the Air Force, all of those different points of failure, they gave me knowledge. And that knowledge bred success in somewhere that I thought absolutely not possible, not in a million years. Regardless of any personal impediment, regardless of any policy, on the path to your dream, the path that you select, success can be bred in a place you could think that is absolutely not possible. And it might not happen for years, decades to come. Failure is an intricate part of chasing your dream. Failure will happen to you. Failure gives you that knowledge that you need to conquer and become successful in, or in my case, around your dream. Failure is knowledge, and knowledge is success. I'm Tim Gibson. Thank you.